Welcome to Wallet Monkey. Today we're going to talk about the top 5 mistakes that beginners make with credit cards. There's quite a few of them, but we're going to cover just the top 5. Let's get into it. You might be wondering who you're talking to. I am Brandon Sanders. I have been in the banking industry for 18 years. I have done every single role inside of banking. Last year I closed $24 million in business loans. I was a top performer for multiple banks, but I'm very well versed in every aspect of finance. The first thing I want to talk about is utilization. You get a credit card, this is your first credit card, you're looking at a $1,000 credit card, maybe $500. It's very easy to max out this card, but the biggest mistake you could make is to max out that card. However, every single month that it's over 50% of the limit, over say that $500 on a $1,000 limit, it's drastically impacting your credit score. And that hinders you in multiple ways. You have to keep it under 50% at all times, preferably under 30%. If you exceed that 50%, and that's what reports on your statement balance, that's going to hinder your credit score. And the last thing you want at that early stage of your credit is to hinder your credit and hinder your credit score to where ultimately you're not getting that balance increase. It also hinders you from future purchases such as vehicles, homes, nor are you getting the ability to access other financial tools. So make sure that you are under 50% of the limit at all times, and preferably you're under 30% of the limit of the card. That's all you should be using every single month. The second big mistake that I really want to talk about is in fact the minimum payment. So making the minimum payment is great. It's great that you're on track to make that minimum payment, but typically a minimum payment is only 2% of the balance or $25 to $35 depending on the credit card. So if you look at a credit card, let's say you racked up that same $1,000 balance at 30% interest. Again, this is your first card. That's a very typical interest rate for your credit cards, whether they're rewards cards or this is your first card. And so let's say that you racked up a $1,000 balance on that card at 30%. That's going to take you over 9 years to repay that card, and you will pay nearly $2,000 in interest. So always try to make more than just the minimum payment, because just that minimum payment isn't enough, and you will suffer a lot of interest over a fairly short period of time. So make sure you are paying more than the minimum payment every single month. The third is carrying a balance. So carrying a balance on a credit card isn't necessarily a bad idea. It does help, in fact, your credit score. But the thing I would note about carrying a balance is you don't have to. If you can take advantage of the credit card by paying it off in full every single month, you're utilizing the bank's money for free. There is no interest for that. The thing you need to note about paying off that balance in full is that you are paying off the balance before your statement cuts each month. When your statement cuts, that right there is going to be what gets reported to your credit. The reason being is, say that you were to max out your card for the month, and even though you're paying it off in full, if it shows on that statement that you had a maxed out balance, that once again is going to refer back to point number 1, which it's going to hurt your credit. So you need to pay it before that statement cuts, and you'll know that once you get your credit card and start seeing those statements periodically. So ideally, take advantage of the bank's money. Pay it off every single month. You won't suffer any interest from the bank, and ultimately you will build your credit score over time. The fourth thing is not setting up automatic payments. It is very, very easy to miss a credit card payment. Again, I want to stress to you the importance of building good credit. If you're not making the payment on time, not only are you getting a late fee, not only are you hindering your ability to once again increase your limit over time to something more substantial, but the biggest thing I will say is that if you go over 30 days late on that credit card payment, and it's surprisingly easy to do, you miss that one credit card payment, it's going to take you 7 years for that to fall off your credit, and it will drastically hinder your credit score. Let's say you were at a clean 700, you've used your card for 6 months, you missed that one payment, your credit score could drop as much as 100 points overnight just because you've missed that one payment. And it's not just missing it by 30 days, which is where they're going to report to your credit. Let's say you miss it by 2 days. Well, now you're going to have a late fee, and you're going to hinder your own ability to increase your limit on that card in the future. So make sure you are paying that payment on time, and the best way to do that is set up the automatic payments. The last thing I really want to talk about is opening too many credit cards. So it's very easy once you start building your credit to get credit offers in the mail, to go into a store and hear something like, We'll give you $50 off your purchase today if you open up a credit card with us, but you don't need to do that. The problem with that is the more cards you open, the more it's going to hinder your credit score, because each new card is going to drop your credit score for the first year of having that card. But additionally, it's poor money management. What will happen over time is you're going to have too many cards to keep track of, too many cards to pay attention to. And so you're not going to look at those statements every single month like you should and make sure there are no fraudulent purchases or that you weren't overcharged for something. And there is no benefit to having multiple cards open in this scenario. Instead, I want to make sure that you're only utilizing 1 or 2 credit cards at a time and you're avoiding opening up too many credit cards. So good idea, keep 1 or 2 cards. That's it, at least until you're familiar with credit cards and you get a better understanding of how they work. Again, credit cards are an amazing tool, but only if you're using them right, and there is a lot of ways to use them wrong. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time today. I hope this was helpful to you, and have a good day.